Hello guys, welcome back to the channel once more. I'm very boring to be sincere. The loss we lost against Bournemouth is very boring, very tragedy for we Manchester United. Even although we are in good position in the table in the Premier League, but that loss hit me so hard. I can't believe it. We lost, let me say 4-0, even disallowed the last goal, but I believe it's 4-0 to Bournemouth. Who is Bournemouth? Defeating Manchester United in Manchester United home. The time of Ferguson, that will never be happening to us. Now, tomorrow we are facing Bayern Munich in the Champions League. So, what do you think will happen in that match? But I think we can get a win for that match because Bayern already qualified. But nobody can predict what we expect from Manchester United player, neither what Tuchel player we produce in that Champions League. I hope we can win that match, have to qualify to the round 16. So let us listen to what the Pandey said about the match and what Eric Ten Hag and Hag Tominay said in the match press.
A weekend of Premier League drama with some shock results to digest. But where was your biggest surprise of the weekend?
Probably the score, Bournemouth United.
Yeah.
I don't think no one saw that many goals.
No, you saw the result.
I saw the result, but not that many goals. Not that many goals.
Yeah, it was Bournemouth's first ever win away at Old Trafford in a performance that piled misery onto Eric Ten Hag and his players.
And there was some misery in store for Arsenal as well, as Aston Villa continued their incredible run of home form, running out 1-0 winners over the Arsenal.
Meanwhile, Liverpool left it very late against 10-man Crystal Palace. Last week's special guest on Kelly and Wrighty, Harvey Elliott, was the last-minute hero at Selhurst Park.
And the pressure is mounting on Mauricio Pochettino's Chelsea slumped to a 2-0 defeat at Everton, leaving them with just one win in 5.
So if you missed any of the action, or if you just want a recap, sit back and enjoy. Right then, let's take a look at how all of that affects the standings. Liverpool's late winner sees them leapfrog Arsenal to the top of the table. Aston Villa still a point behind the Gunners after their 1-0 victory. Manchester City's win means they stay 3 points ahead of Tottenham in 5th. Manchester United and Newcastle 6th and 7th respectively after heavy defeats for both of them. At the other end of the table, Sheffield United's win not enough to take them off the bottom because Burnley picked up a point in their 1-1 draw against Brighton, and Everton's commanding win against Chelsea opens up a 4-point gap between themselves and the drop zone. So the team sitting in 11th and 14th are separated only by goal difference. It is tight right across the table. There is so much to play for. And after a sort of brief flurry, Wrighty, Owen Hargreaves and Julien Laurent here as well, it looks like Manchester United's resurgence has been kind of cut short.
Yeah, but I think that when you look at the way Man United play, the individual players that's got them out of situations, you know, we've seen Bruno Fernandes, Scott McTominay, we've seen Dalot, we've seen them all do that sort of stuff. It's not through the game plan and how they're going to play to break the team down. So you know that at some stage, and why I said I didn't fancy them to beat Bournemouth, because Bournemouth are very organised from back to front, especially now with Christie and Cook in that midfield as a double pivot. They're very good defensively, and then they've got a lot of pace and endeavour up front. And I thought it's going to be a tough game, but I didn't expect it to be like that. You know, I think that's massive red flags now. You've got a Bournemouth are going to them, with all due respect to Bournemouth, going to Manchester United and beating them. It should have been 4, you know, so comfortably. No midfield from Man United. You know, it was just, it's not, it don't look good.
It's not being disrespectful to Bournemouth. They've never won at Old Trafford before, and they get the victory there against Manchester United. As you say, by 3 goals, could have been 4, but for that 4th goal being disallowed, and actually they created more chances in the game as well. But Manchester United's performance Manchester United's season isn't just going to hinge on that performance. These are issues that have been across the season for United, aren't they?
Well, I think the way they played against Bournemouth was more symbolic of the way they played all season. You know, I thought the way they played against Chelsea was probably the only good performance in the Premier League they've had all season. They had one in the Cup against Palace. The one against Chelsea, by the way, could have got something out of that game.
Yeah.
Man United was so open for large parts. The midfield almost deserts the pitch. And there's pressure on the back four. And the same thing happened against Bournemouth. And Wright made a good point. They got the two central midfield players that are really good players. And the front three are really, they're great runners. Solanke was fantastic. Semenya was great as well. So I think the way Ten Hag set United up in that game, they were going to get chances, Bournemouth. And all it was to be about clinical. Yeah. Chelsea weren't clinical. Bournemouth were. And I just think that performance kind of summed up the way United have been all season. Balancing midfield is nowhere to be seen. There's no partnerships. Who's going to be the centre-backs? Who's going to be the midfield two? Who's going to play as a centre-forward? Martial played. Nobody knows why. And I think at some point, Eric and I's got to settle on who are my centre-backs. Started with Martinez and Varane. Varane's been bombed out for whatever reason. Now it's Harry and Lindelof. Then it was Harry Maguire and Shaw. I think when you look at the great teams of United, you knew who the centre-backs were. Bruce and Pallister, Vidic and Ferdinand. You knew who the midfield was, Scholesy and Keane or whoever. Now you look, every game is a different team. And I think that makes it almost impossible to build consistency. Yeah.
And like you said, they're coming up against that Bournemouth side who are so well organised. And we'll look more at what Iraola's doing there in a second. But just to focus on Manchester United and their shortcomings. As Owen said, you can make comparisons to great Manchester United teams of the past. But it's quite difficult to sort of pinpoint exactly what's going wrong with Manchester United at the moment, because there doesn't seem to be a plan that they're not executing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is maybe the lack of plan and structure in possession and out of possession. You can mention the leadership or the lack of leadership, and even the lack of talent overall in a squad that costs you £500 million. Again, we would talk about Chelsea too, but how can you spend so much money and yet having a striker in Martial or in Højlund who can't score really, having no midfield when you spend all that money, even on a Mason Mount, who we have hardly seen this season. All of that is just that the way this squad was built and the way this season has started, it's just an absolute disaster.
You know what, Kels, when Ten Hag came and he said he wants to possession football, he wants to dominate the game, dominate the ball, possession, and then he changed to he wants to be the best transitional team in the world. And I've not seen any of those. He's got all the signings. I think when he started as well, Kels, he did say, listen, one of the stipulations with me, I'm in charge of my transfers. I want to make the signings. And I think apart from Lautaro Martinez, I'm not sure any of them have worked. They haven't worked. And like for me, with the new people coming in, you're looking at it, Bacho, Bruno Fernandes, but literally I think every single one of those players are up for moving them on.
And it almost looked like the Bournemouth manager, Iraola, he knew what was going to happen. Because Bournemouth squeezed the pitch, and the way United play out from the back, or actually don't play out from the back because they have no pattern. Goals 1 and 2 came from mistakes from United. Yeah. Dreadful decision-making within... I mean, that ball from Bruno Fernandes is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that leads to this first goal because they don't have any patterns. Normally you go out to the left back and you go out to the winger, you go into midfield. That ball as well from Luke Shaw. What is that?
And then look at the three midfielders. They already passed them.
Righty, that's my point. He said he wants to play, and that's why he signed Onana, but they don't have any patterns to play out from. And you can see 2 goals, and also the third is on the set piece, but a lot of those goals came from the way United play out, or actually don't play out. The third one, look,
the marking though.
It's marking. The thing with that, when the game started, which was really interesting, because I've done some analysis on Bournemouth. They got the ball, they laid the ball back, kicked it straight out of play. Everybody went
because
up.
they knew they'd press the life out of it and make mistakes.
Because there's no pattern to how Man United are going to try and play out. I feel sorry for Onana. I feel sorry for all of them because
you have the best goalkeeper in the world at distribution, and you don't actually use it.
You don't use him. It's sad.
Is that because they might have a goalkeeper who's excellent at distribution, but they don't have defenders who are necessarily that type of a player? Harry Maguire's strengths are not being in a ball-playing, silky sort of
but you say that, Kels, but Harry Maguire can still pass the ball through. You've seen Harry Maguire.
He does it with England.
Yeah, he does it with England, Kels. He's still brave enough if the movement's right and he's got the right people in front. He's not afraid to pass the ball in there. Then it's up to them to then try and, are you going to go outside there? So as we open them up, then you go in there. There's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing. So, and they're obviously not working on that, Kels, because, Bournemouth's plan was just keep them in there. And can Bournemouth keep it up? And then can they, like you rightly said as well, and take half chances? If you do that at Man United, you will beat them, and you'll beat them comfortably.
Do you think that the individual errors are coming about because the players are unsure, or unclear about what they're supposed to do. Is that something that can force that in the players, or is it? Do you think they're switching off? Do you think they just make bad decisions?
I think there's a lot of doubt amongst everyone, manager, players, fans, and I think because there isn't really that pattern of play, I think they got to try and find a way to minimize mistakes and actually maybe just play long. But the manager probably won't do that because he was brought in to play and play this Ajax football. But the problem is they're getting picked off. They just got picked off by Bournemouth at Old Trafford. You know, like Wright said, that shouldn't happen, but it does. And everybody watching that now will go, well, we can just squeeze them because they'll make mistakes. For a while, to get some results, they should actually play long, get up and play second balls. They probably won't do it, but I think with confidence hit as it is, and you've got Bayern tomorrow, you've got Liverpool on the weekend, and then I think you've got Villa and West Ham. You know, United seasons in many ways could be over by the start of January. It's hard to really be overly positive and optimistic with the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, and then that can have a spiraling effect on the players, and they feel they don't have any realistic targets to aim for. Sorry, John.
Yeah, no, the issue I have is Iraola was playing exactly like Bournemouth are playing now when he was in Spain, even in the second division. This is his philosophy. Everything at training, every drill, every training session is all based on this is what we do, this is what you have to do, this is the positions you have to pick when the ball is dead. When Ten Hag came over, he said, well, I can't really do what I did at Ajax because this is a different league, it's not the same players. And I don't buy that at all. And I think that if you're a good coach, you should be able to teach whatever player.
Because Ange's doing it with Tottenham, the same player.
Exactly.
And Xavi's doing it with Brighton.
And I can't see why Ten Hag cannot make this team play better, considering we've seen some of these teams in the past playing better in the Netherlands. And that's where, for me, he has to take a lot of the blame.
On individuals, so the owners have been criticised. Manchester United fans starting to get increasingly frustrated with Erik Ten Hag, and there are also individuals in the side. One of them that we often see Manchester United being very defensive about is Bruno Fernandes. And is it becoming harder to defend him when you're talking about individual mistakes or picking up silly yellow cards and getting suspensions? In terms of a leader on the pitch, are they getting what they need from him?
Righty?
Well, to be honest, I think that when you can see this in every game when you see Bruno Fernandes, and what you can see is a very good player is so frustrated. He's frustrated. He's trying to make things happen. You know, yes, the dissent. I can't complain about somebody's dissent because it was my whole game I was always 2 seconds away from getting.
But you would have had a captain.
Yes, and I have leaders around me, but he's the leader, and he's somebody that you almost feel like he's looking around for help. You see him chasing all around the place as well sometimes, guys and Kels. That you think no, stay where you are. This is they're meant to come here. You're not meant to be chasing off because you're leaving space and holes. And then then people pass through it. Then you can see him. He's out of position.
Yeah.
The same with the second goal there. The three midfielders are in advance of the pass. One pass has gone through all three of the midfield, and you look at him and you think to yourself, that's the captain, and he's not able to actually tell them where they should be. He's, should be in a position where you can see things coming. He's just frustrated. He's very frustrated.
Thing is, he's really emotional. But the problem is, you can't get that yellow card that he got with Liverpool on the weekend at Anfield after losing last year 7-0. You can't.
Yeah.
And he was criticised heavily for his performance in that game as well, for sort of switching off.
Kelly, and rightly so. When you're the leader of the ship, you get critiqued differently, judged differently. Marcus Rashford, we see the same thing. But the problem is, with that game coming up on the weekend, you cannot get that yellow card if you're the captain. It's impossible. And so in that sense, you need your leader in the moments when you're struggling to be the leader.
If you look what Agre said is the truth. Manchester United players are playing without confidence, and then we have Bayern tomorrow. What do you think? Can Manchester United win the match tomorrow? Feel free to leave your opinion in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. See you in my next video. Bye for now.